my cat is over here, and she split her ear by scratching because it's so dry down here. It's cold and dry. Hold on. Do you want to be on camera, ma'am? Yeah. This is Luna, who's gonna get all up on the shit. Okay, now you're in my camera angle. Well, I did bring you up here. Here. Great. Oh man, no, I'm very happy to have at least two of my cats that can be down here in the studio. The other one stays upstairs. Oh man, so technically it is 2:06 in the morning, so I guess this qualifies as going over into the next day, which is nice, but at the exact same time, I have to get healthier sleep habits. And it was raining. It was crazy earlier. It was nuts, like a weird winter storm, like I hadn't seen in a while. And all I could think to myself was like, I don't want to stop because and I did. I ended up stopping for a while and just looking at the rain. I was in a weird mood where I wasn't sure, if I wanted to proceed with some stuff. So what this one's going to cover, I keep trying to introduce myself or trying to remember to introduce myself. But again, this is my vlog. And man, I don't even like that term. I wonder if there's like another word for it. I don't if you look at the playlist, it's not called a vlog. It's what did I call it? A digital journal or something? And here's what's really nuts. Along with this effort, I do have, and I've talked about this before, I have a planner that I'm using as something of a journal. This is more for covering what I'm making in 2023 and what artistic efforts I'm going to proceed to be involved with. And then I still have my Heroes Journal, which is really cool. If you guys haven't seen these, they're pretty freaking rad. I'll just show you a blank entry. But there's areas for like all kinds of writing space here for like hourly, half-hour things, a small micro-blogging aspect, your goals here, your negatives, and the things that either are your allies or your enemies. It's an interesting concept, and I really like it a lot. I think there's some things that could work better for creatives, but then again, this is an all-in-one general sort of thing, and it got me to start recording a lot of what I go through. And so what I was getting to was the whole idea of, feeling frozen up about like wanting to do work. That was something that had struck me earlier. I know I had another thought process that I was going through, but oh no, now I know what it was. It was the whole idea behind finding yourself once you've gone through the idea that because this last one we talked about just being happy, right? Just being in being your own person and your own mind, being able to figure out what exactly. Sorry, I'm so twitchy and I'm tired, but I really wanted to get this video done. And my kitty wants to be on camera. So I got to thinking about that, and it was weird because I had wanted to talk about being happy, but I realized that it's more than, of course it is, it's more than just our jobs, our hobbies that, can bring about happiness. And one of my friends had posted on Twitter that they were feeling the post-holiday depression sinking in. And I was feeling that too. In fact, that's actually part of the reason earlier that when the rainstorm rolled in, I just kind of just watched it rain. I filmed a little bit of it. Sometimes I film stuff for reference or just because I kind of want to remember a moment or a thought process, and I'll go back and listen to the auditory aspect of it and process back through an idea I had. It's a weird habit I've had ever since we've gotten smartphones, and I was able to record media. Actually, that predates that, back with my old VHS C camcorder that I have. And so the point was that I realized, and I realize this more and more, whenever life, whenever we let life enter our zones and we're not just inundated with trying to be creative and trying to be cool or trying to make videos, that we're also faced with, the changes in life that happen to us and that occur. And how do you navigate those waters? I know that for me, I always, it doesn't matter what it is. Every year, I have like a mixed feeling. The older I get, when I was, let me back this up. When I was a kid, I liked holidays okay. I always looked at it as a trifecta factor. There's Halloween, there's Thanksgiving, and, of course, Christmas. So for me, it was like one big holiday. And when you're a kid and you're in school, you've got like, weird little events like, you're drawing a turkey, you're you're cutting out pumpkins or whatever, and then right around the whole thing of Christmas, you've got Christmas break, you've got stuff like that going on, and but somewhere along the way for me, I started to feel more wistful when they ended, more because it seemed like for a little bit, and this was especially true when I lived in areas that there was a lot more snow. It seemed like there was a quieter momentum to them. Now, during the time that we had all the closures I'm sorry, there's cat hair floating everywhere. It's like I'm talking to people, but that's exactly how I want these things to be. And so I remember when there would be snow that would fall, I would sometimes just watch that, not unlike when I was watching the rainfall earlier, and just kind of sink into the moment. Now, there was a much more positive alignment of thinking back then, but now it was more like, didn't really feel like the holidays. And I know that for a fair amount of people, if it's not, economic issues, it's maybe mental health, it's other stuff, things that, I can't really go into. There's not enough time to really cover that gamut. I mean, I guess I could break through the 10 or 15 minute window I normally give myself on this, but trying to keep these short. I thought to myself that it is extremely hard to, at least for me, to keep a work-life balance that I can agree with. There's a lot of people I know that will run headlong into, I got to get this done, got to get this done, got to get this done, and they never stop. And ever since I decided to really push forward into just being freelance, but freelance on my own terms, which is me attempting to attend shows and sell the stuff that is wholeheartedly originally mine, occasionally with some, fan art stuff in there. It's really been eye-opening because I realized that in doing so, I'm opening myself up to a lot more in time investment. And when the holidays come along, I don't have as much time as I would like to, visit family or partake in things that most people do. And it's because it's also not always the most fun thing in the world, being full disclosure on that. And I think the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm trying to make up for lost time, which is a weird thing to say, right? But that's also something I've struggled with during this time. I think the entire fucking aspect of this was like, again, going back to how do you be happy? And I'm like literally talking about things that are kind of downers. So I apologize for that. But I'm just, it's a natural flowing state of mind that I'm going through with this. And I promise, well, maybe you guys like this. I've gotten some compliments and some comments from you guys so far on these, and I appreciate that a lot. So you seem to like the fact that I'm just being conversational about this. I was thinking about why things don't really align to the whole aspect of staying happy even after the holidays, right? You would think that. Okay, I'll give you a perfectly good example. This is not holiday related, but it was an event. I just finished watching Star Wars Andor. Now, for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm not going to drop any spoilers. But it's fucking awesome. I loved it. There were aspects of it that I was like blown away by. I was like, God damn it, this is good. And, it has a lot more going for it than just being an event. There's a lot more of a message behind it. And it was, from a cultural standpoint, it was also nice to see a Hispanic in the lead, which is cool. It's nice to see that sort of representation. And it was also a factor that when I watched it, for that, I feel like I can go back and I can rewatch the episodes. I can go online. I can see, reviews or people talking about it, all that stuff. When it came to dealing with Christmas and the holidays and things, I think there's this, I don't know if it's probably a multitude of these things that are in my head, and I'll just kind of lay out the first three. First, every single time, unlike when I was a kid, you know, if an event like this happens where it's like the 3 months of holidays, you know, I'm keenly aware of not only the fact that I'm getting older, but that more time is passing. Two, I still really haven't completely gotten over the fact that I liked the isolation that came with the advent of COVID restrictions and close downs. I'm not saying I want to cut this off at the head because I had a really pretty kind of heated discussion with somebody about this the other day. I'm not saying that I want the world to shut down or anything like that again. I'm saying there was a moment where we were forced to really think and adapt and ponder about what life was and where our happiness was. In fact, there were a lot of people I knew that switched careers, either because they had been forced out of their jobs or otherwise. And when they did that, it affected family aspects. It affected how they socialized. It affected a lot of things. And that right there, either, you know, it either reared its head as a good change or a detrimental aspect. And then the third thing I found, and this is a weird one, is it's similar to when I go and do a show and I've had a really good time. I felt that almost immediately after the Greater Kansas City Japan Festival was done. I did phenomenal at that show, and I was so fucking happy because of, if you followed any of my other stuff, I've got more reviews up. I just finished one about 15 minutes ago of another show. 2022 was terrible financially for me. It was just absolutely jaw-droppingly weird. And in many circumstances I can identify where something went wrong, but otherwise it just didn't go very well. But even for the shows that didn't do very well for me, I still found myself with that whole like post-com blues thing. Well, I found myself going through a similar facet with the holidays, but it's weird because although I kind of missed there's that whole trifecta of them, there's a whole other avenue that happens where I am more keenly aware that, you know, time is passing. Now, I'm going to stop right there on that aspect because I love the idea of trying to end these on a more positive note. The good thing is I have found that not just because of the downtime that happened during COVID or even because I've been practicing more stuff like mindfulness and meditation and things like that, stuff that normally, and when I was younger, I thought was full of shit. But as I've gotten older, it's helped. And it's given me time to pause and think about where I am and what I'm doing. What it's done is it's opened up this whole suitcase of thought processes that allow me to look at these things and try and understand why I'm down about them. Are there elements like, do I miss particular family members or people? Is it something where I feel like I wasn't prepared for the change and it snuck up on me because I was so busy doing other things? Was it something where perhaps a job had completely, you know, overtaken the work-life balance I have? I know people personally that, and this isn't anything against them, but that they specifically, I know one person in particular, I don't care the holiday, they're working. They don't have to, they just do. I mean, I'll never forget, this video is going to run over 15 minutes, I can tell you that right now. I will never forget one time thinking about that aspect, and I've met people across the spectrum that have said, you know, if you want to get somewhere, you got to work hard. They're going to notice your work. They're going to do all these other things. I don't believe that that's really true. I don't really think that's the case. I think in some isolated circumstances it can still work that way. But we seem to be, as a society in general, okay, myself included, that we tend to have myopic sort of viewpoints. You know, we've got the blinders on our eyes, like the poor horses that, you know, will carry a wagon around a town square for people to pay a couple bucks to ride in it. That's what it feels like. And why I'm saying that is that, you know, when you're busy looking straight ahead, you don't have time to see what's happening around you. It's a very weird and off-putting reality to come to terms with. And I'm still coming to terms with it. And the thing that really bugs me the most about all of it is that even with all of this happening, right, I still have to live life. That's the part that's really screwed up about this, is you don't really have time, no pun intended. God, I'm just using that same term again. You don't really have the time to stop to look and see how much time is passing by. And it can probably lead to some bad feelings about holidays and you know, that feeling of, well, it's over and it's done. And where all this is coming full cycle to is something I will probably talk more in depth in some other videos about. I came to a realization that for the first time, I'd really taken a look at where we stand, and I'm talking specifically about Gen X and maybe into the millennial area, where we were specifically raised on extremely effective pop culture concepts. And what I mean by that is latchkey kid aspects. The television raised us. You know, if you're from a certain generation, there are certain phrases and certain things, you know, whether it's Dare commercials or, you know, those public service announcements they would put at the end of cartoons or things like that. And I've noticed something that's been happening is that the older we're getting, there's more and more of a push, and this is especially true since the Mouse of House owns everything now. You're getting things put out there that almost make you feel like, well, no, don't put that away. You know, we can bring it back, we can reboot it, we can give it back to you again. It'll be slightly different, but the same. I mean, that's essentially what The Force Awakens was from the Star Wars movies. And it's a really bizarre conundrum. And I'm interested to kind of explore that more because I want to know why we think this way. I want to know why a good amount of us do. I'm not saying everyone does. I can think of 2 or 3 people in specific that do not think this way. And they may be really interesting to talk to at some point and go, why don't you think this way? What is your superpower? Because I know that I'm definitely smack dab in that. In fact, the blog post I just finished right now, which is retroactively from 2022, was for a show called QuadCon. QuadCon is specifically a very pop culture, toy collector centered event, and it's very good. And I picked up a few items from there. It's one of my favorite ones. It's held in St. Charles, Missouri. But I realize that the reason I like going there is it's comfortable, it's familiar, and I go see shit that is comfortable and familiar and boxed and brand new. So it makes me feel like a kid again. And it makes me feel the same way I did when I was a kid. And so I go from that and I feel rejuvenated for a little while. Right? At least for me. And I realize that there's more underneath that I have to unpack and deal with. The good thing is, again, trying to end on a positive here, because boy, I can get into the semantics really bad. The good thing is that it's not a bad thing to celebrate that. I say that sitting in a fucking 54th Street style decor room of pop culture bullshit. I mean, I literally have fucking Star Wars ships hanging from my ceiling. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that there's a deeper inclination for us that sometimes we don't want to face, which often manifests as something's missing. And that's a fascinating thing. I think for some of us it can be troublesome to try and find it, but I think that for the vast majority of us, if we open up our minds, if we open up, it's going to sound like a fucking Hallmark card, if we open up our hearts, if we open up our mindsets and we allow ourselves, whether it's through something like therapy or meditation or even just feeling like, hey, I can be interested in the stuff I like, right? I can be okay with that, and I can still look into the things that I had to endure or go through growing up, whether my parents weren't always home, whether I had to be more self-reliant, whether I had helicopter parents, it's fucking me, or whatever. And how do I face that? How do I grow into that? How do I grow out of that? Or how do I just accept it and move on with my life? And I think that is at least something that plays into why we will feel like something's missing. It's just a theory. It's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree if you'd like. But that's what's on my mind now at 2:26 in the morning. So that feels good. I got this done. I'm behind on some other shit, but I got my video done for the day. I was trying to jump ahead because this takes like a while. The way this basically works is I take this, and because it's on my iPhone, I'm uploading it directly to YouTube, but it takes like 47 minutes for it to process the 1080p version, the HD version of the video. If you're not into the tech shit, you can stop playing the video right now. You can go on. It's fine. Go have a coffee. Go to whatever time you watch this at. And at least it's working this way. But I was trying to find a working pipeline so I could manage to get this done every day. Because if I had to download this, put it into Adobe Premiere, and then edit and do all that other shit, I'd be losing my mind right now. So I'm probably annoying. I am definitely annoying the fuck out of my cats by talking and by being awake. And I have some other shit I still have to get done, just looking at the stuff I have to do on my other screen here. So yeah, now we just broke the record. We're over to 21 minutes. I'm going to shut the hell up now. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next entry.